Mula Binaka, and welcome again to this episode that we have here on Becoming a Man, a ministry that has birthed out of necessity from a lot of challenges that is happening around Fiji and in the region, where we have men has been singled out as perpetrators of domestic violence, and they are now ending up in jail. But more so drastically, some of them have have taken their life out of suicide because they cannot face the world. This has led to this ministry and its birth, and sometimes men have nowhere to go. There is no ministry for men. There is a ministry for women. There is no crisis center for men, and there is crisis center for women. So this is where the birth of this ministry has come about, so that men out there know that there are ministries out there, church branches that do have the capacity to help you out, counsel you up, and give you some direction. But in this episode, we would like to welcome my sister here, Mrs. Alice Calcalo. So she is joining us from ahead of not only a wife, but as a mother, but a working mother. So welcome, Alice, and would you like to just introduce yourself to our audience this evening?
Mina Kambula, my brother, Master Talemo. It is indeed a great privilege to be talking to you this afternoon on this very sensitive topic, and I'm looking forward to whatever we discuss this afternoon and as the Lord directs us today, Minaka.
And hopefully somebody out there will hear our discussion tonight and could help out. Maybe somebody who's in a suicidal or a depression state because of challenges in the marriages, in relationship. Does not have to be even marriage, relationship.
Yes.
That's where there's a lot of challenges in there. So would you like to just address a little bit about women out there, the understanding of the movement, the women liberation, and what it has brought about, and also maybe talk about some safeguarding that we have done in your counseling work or in other work that you have in the church that has helped women to know that there is a place for them to go to.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, feminism is on the rise in Fiji. We have a lot of movements and groups that protect our women, especially in terms of battered women, victims of abuse, and especially young single mothers who are involved in teenage pregnancy, or those that have been abandoned by the father of their children. But surprisingly, we have this perspective that these women are mostly those that are alone, have no jobs, mainly domestic. But yes, in networks that I work with, social platforms that I go on to, you'll be surprised that working women in the church, women who have high profiles, ladies and girls alike can be victims, can be abused. And yes, there still needs to be a lot of work. There still needs to be a lot of listening, and not only listening, but doing something. I feel action is very important, and that the church has a major role. And one thing from my personal perspective, I feel the church is still way behind in addressing this.
Beautiful.
In addressing this, yes.
And I do agree with you. And this is why this podcast has, or these discussions has evolved, because we, this ministry of Becoming a Man, we actually sympathize with women out there that are being challenged into this, because they do not deserve it, because it's unbiblical and unchristian if you are Christian out there to be doing these challenges to girls and also to women in relationship and such. As I've talked about in other episodes, there is a deeper root into it, but we will not go. If you are interested into those, please do listen to the other podcast that has done, where you can or message us and we'll send you this podcast so that you can listen to where we touch a little bit more on that area. But today with our sister here, that we are thankful that he has given her time to be here with us. One of the biggest challenge here is working women, as you have mentioned. Sometimes that they might be in a leadership role, that they could be in managing even men, that when they come back, they now go back to their household, and sometimes, probably, generally, sometimes their husband may not have the same salary level, maybe qualification, maybe even the status in society, and therefore they have a few challenging things that could happen. Would you like to talk generally about what women should do in this regard, and advice to women who may have that leadership and that status position coming back to the household?
Oh, yes. Well, that's a very interesting, chunk of information that you've just shared. Yes. Just in circles of girlfriends and women, we talk amongst ourselves, and that's something that we can normally, it's a challenge. Something, I think, something we can call like a power struggle. And it's definitely sometimes very hard to just switch off. Correct. Especially if you're a woman and you say you're in a CEO position, or you're heading an institution, or you have some leadership or manager role where you're leading whole day, and even when you bring work home, you still have to answer to emails, you have to conduct Zoom meetings, you have to prepare reports, and you're in leader mode, manager mode. And just to fit into the context of which you asked me, if you come home and then you've got a spouse, a husband, a loving husband, but he does not, like you say, earn as much as you do or less than you. Sometimes that's where I would say not miscommunication, or maybe intentional, but sometimes it's just you just don't step out of the role. Sometimes you're still in your work clothes, you're still holding on to your briefcase and your devices, and you bring that home. And sometimes if you're coming and you're not on the same frequency, husband has gone through something, or you've gone through something as well, and then without meaning to, one just lashes out at the other, and then and then the misunderstanding starts. I pretty much believe most times it's unintentional, but yes, I've come across women, or I've come across men who've shared that, I'm having problems because I'm made to feel inferior. I've been told you don't bring the bread to the table, so I make the decision. That's the woman speaking. So I don't know what to do. I don't have much say in front of family gatherings. I'm put down, or in front of my in-laws, or in front of my own family. She makes the decision. So yes, I understand where you're coming from, and I feel this is not Fijian context, but it's a global one.
Oh yes.
Yes.
This is a very interesting topic, as you mentioned. It could be very sensitive, it could be very emotionally tied, but it's reality. And this is happening. A lot of our marriages, if you might think what Ellie is talking about, could be saved if only there is communication, there is understanding, there is regard for each other, and an open communication line. And I would like to speak, Ellis, a little bit about from the male side. When you have a female or your wife who is in that category, as we have described, could be more paid, high status and all. I would like to speak generally to men. Men, they are your Eve. They are there to support you. They are not there to challenge you. Miscommunication, as my sister has mentioned, that is always going to be a part. When sometimes tiredness comes in, you need to honor and respect your wife also. Because the men in charge. When man was created, we were created to look after the family. We were created to look after our Eve. That's why most of the time the women take the name of the man, because you are Mrs. Adam. So my wife is Milana. She is Mrs. Wang. Why? She is the same as me. Together we are one. So how can you misappropriately challenge and abuse the Mrs. that is still you? That is Mrs. Adam. That is Mrs. Wang. And I need to challenge us men. We need to lift up. We need to rise up. We need to give more honor and respect, because they are bringing maybe income to the family, and most of the time they do, so that they can help you look after the family better. And for those of you, in the next episode, we will be going through some details, help that is out there. For example, having the same bank account. You have to have a joint account. Yes, your savings can be different, but joint. Why? That's where you need to look after the coffers of the family. When you do decision, it is we are making decision. I give some responsibility to my wife to be responsible of, and I take the others. And when we come to her responsibility, I give her to make the decision. You make the decision, I support you. And when it's my responsibility, I bring her into the picture, my daughter who's over 21 into the picture, and then we talk through about it. And after that, I make the decision, because that's my responsibility area. So this is where we are going to, Alice.
Yeah.
And it's one of the areas that has been challenging a lot of families out there. Do you agree with that?
Yes, coming back to the second part of your question, like what can be done or what are we doing? Yeah. So I think a couple of months ago, I was in a workshop, and I was very privileged to have a lot of talk time with one of the other participants, and she was the Rendini of the Salvation Army Taltala.
Yeah.
And I was very touched with her role in the church. She said she's also a Taltala, which brings that, equality into the picture, but they work hand in hand. And then she talks about how she runs a women's shelter for abused women or single mothers, where they come and stay indefinitely until they are ready to stand up. And she does this income generating, craft classes for the women, so that they can be self-sufficient and earn an income for themselves. So I feel like, Talemo, coming back to the Christian family, how many churches have something like this available for the women. We're very blessed for the women who are in families where the marriage is working very well, and the men are providing, and there is perfect, not perfect, but there's harmony. I love that. Yes, happening. But then for the other women who are less, or going through something or struggling, and it's something also I see that's lacking in our churches is marriage counseling. Make it mandatory to have a qualified marriage counselor, because if there's something, it's marriages that are breaking in the church, not outside of church or in the world. That's another story. But I believe a lot are happening within the church itself. And do we have marriage counselors? I want to throw out this question. How many churches can stand up and say confidently, we have a qualified marriage counselor for our church? So I feel like that's a direction we could work, and maybe advocate for, and maybe provide training. Yes.
Well, thank you, Alice, for suggesting that, because this podcast, for our listeners out there, we are building up towards what we call a Becoming a Man conference, where we are going to be calling all men and pastors that are relating to this message that we are going to call us, and we will have experts that will speak on the topic and also train us in eventually to give us information. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
This is what we're trying to do, giving us a bit of knowledge. So we are moving towards maybe August or September. We are going to call
Wonderful.
the Becoming a Man conference, where
Save the
it is
date.
going to be Fiji-wide. And for the ministers out there, government ministers and ministries, if you do want to support this ministry, please do message, because that Becoming a Man conference is going to change families and lives, and a lot of our nuclear family will be saved, because we are going to be touching the truth about this episode, Alice. So we will end there for this episode, and thank you very much, my sister, for coming in, from bringing that perspective, because has to be a man, a husband and a wife, and we need to be working in harmony.
Yes.
And sometimes the challenges of time creates a miscommunication, as you have mentioned, but there is hope.
Yes.
Christ our hope, the King of glory.
Definitely.
And also we are going to meet you in the next episode as we build up to the big conference of Becoming a Man. It's going to be a nationwide conference. Until then, shalom.
Shalom.